Hey, how's it going everybody? Today I'm going to show you my 4 favorite phases to building up your straddle press handstand. So when you're first starting your straddle press journey, I like to recommend that people start on a headstand. So with a headstand, I just wrap my hands around. I stay away from locking the fingers just in case you roll over top. I wrap one hand on the other, come onto the crown of my head, and I don't open up my elbows too wide. I keep them rounded just a little bit, about a 45-degree angle, and then I lift my hips up all the way. So for straddle press here, what I want to really focus on is getting my hip weight on top of my head and my shoulders so I can press with my elbows and then use my hip abductors to rotate my feet up and to the side. And then I round all the way to the top. And you can do a few reps here just to get comfortable with your straddle press. So you curl in, get that hip crease, toes come all the way to the ground maybe. You might bring your feet together and you might round up all the way to the top. So you do a few reps here just to get comfortable with the movement of creasing in at the hips, bringing the feet together, using your hip muscles to lift the feet all the way up. Okay, so when you get your headstand down, if you have a feet up trainer or just a shoulder stander, these help so much, I can't explain it. Definitely check them out if you haven't. But you can bring your hands right here or to the ground. If you're advanced with the shoulder stander, you can bring your hands to the ground to get the more realistic effect. But for now, if you're starting out, bring your hands up here. Lift your hips up, walk forward, just like the headstand. So get your weight on top of your shoulders, then use the hip abductors to raise up the feet to the side, hip in, come to your perfect pencil, and then widen out. You crease in at the hips, the main thing, and we're just pulling the feet to the ground. So you really want to get this hip crease folded in as much as you can, and then lift up. Once you feel comfortable here, you bring your hands to the ground. It's more realistic handstand. Hands, feet come down to the side, curl in at the hip creases, maybe bring your toes together, swing them wide all the way back up. And once you're super comfortable with your headstand and your shoulder stand, the closest thing you can get without using an actual spotter is coming up with your back on the wall, your head on the blocks. I kind of put these 2 blocks together and put a little cushion on top. You don't need the cushion, but I highly recommend it just to keep your head safe. So from here, all we're doing is keeping the hands about a foot away from the wall because we need that lean to the shoulders coming onto the wall. So right here, we're going to drop the head down. So make sure your neck stays long and you don't fall to the forehead. We do not want this. We want to keep the neck long to protect your C3, C4, and your spine. So from here, you might need something under the wrist if you don't have flexible wrists, but if you're okay, these come down all the way. You press in, lift your hips up, and your feet comes up. So from here, do as many reps as you can. Open up as wide as you can. Start to round. Maybe you get the toes to the forearm, maybe feet together, and then you swing all the way back up. So you do this as many as you can, just staying strong through the arms, the neck, and the shoulders, and come down whenever you're ready. For your 4th and final phase, we're going to actually do a handstand straddle press, but we're going to do the negative. So we're just going to come up into a handstand. So if we're working on straddle press, you could probably hold a handstand. So we're just going to hop up into a handstand. Maybe you use the wall, maybe you don't. We're just coming into a pencil handstand. And whenever you're ready, open up the feet as wide as you can. Once you get this, you start rounding in at the hips, and maybe you just drop down slowly. So that should be your goal. Just coming down as slow as you can, using the hip abductors, slowly letting it go. So if you're not yet at that phase, maybe you do some hop ups like this, and then slowly come down. I'll do a couple more. So you hop up, widen out your feet, slowly come down. I'll do one more. I'll do a little bit slower. Hop up, widen out your feet, slowly come down. You get better and better and better. And if you're not strong enough to do these exercises yet or do any of these phases, whatever phase you stop at, just build strength in that phase that you need to. So stick around, we're going to do some exercises to help you build that strength. So your exercise number 1, you come up close to the wall. My hands are going to be about a little bit over a foot away from the wall. And I'm going to walk onto my tippy toes, bringing my butt as high as I can onto the wall. From here, you press into the hands, press your butt against the wall, pick up the toes. This is very hard, so don't judge. If you can, you widen out your feet. Maybe do 5 to 10 reps here. Oh, yes. It's super hard. So don't judge if you can't do it. If you can't do it, put your hands on blocks. It makes it a little bit easier. And if that exercise is just a little bit too hard, you can start obviously just from tabletop. Bring your knees out to the side. you just work that hip abductor. And if you feel strong here, you straighten out the leg, pull it up. So these are very hard. It gives you that strength that you need to pull the feet up to the side and all the way up. And once you feel comfortable with those muscles on the outer edges of your body to help you do that pulling up sensation, we're just gonna work on the hip flexors now, because you need that crease to be nice and tight. So from here, you bring your hands out in front of you, and you lift up the feet, put them down. Lift up, pull in, and then down. If you wanna make this harder, you walk your hands out more. Lift up, down, up, and down. If your leg's shaking, that's good. And once you get comfortable there, you get your hip flexors nice and activated. We do a little exercise with this. So all we're gonna do is we're gonna roll back, tuck this in. As I roll back, I'm gonna try to put my toes flat on the ground. And as I come up, I keep them straight and I lift up. So it might look like that. You do a few reps, toes to the ground. You come up, you might lift your whole body up. So that's optional. You do whatever works for you, toes all the way back. Use the hip creases, pull up. It's very hard, just do your best with that. And for your last and final exercise, which is probably one of the hardest one, it brings you into that actual motion of the straddle press. You come into a plank. So it's actually best if you have socks on your feet. It's much more smooth. I'm using blankets right now just to make it a smooth glide. But what we're doing here is we stay open in the rhomboids. We bring our feet to the outer edges. So right there I stop. I'm using these muscles, those same muscles, and then I squeeze back together. So you do a couple of those to get your hips active. And once you feel good there, you start to round up and pick up the hips and then round back down. Everyone might get a little bit higher. You might round up, maybe even pick up and then down. So you get creative with those. Maybe you find a different variation that works with you. It just gets those muscles activated, keeps your rhomboids open, and it gives you into that handstand shape. And that's what we want. And that's all I have for you today. So I hope you really enjoyed this video. And if you liked it, be sure to like the video and leave a comment below on what it is that helped you the most, whether it's a drill or an exercise. I want to know to help you guys out more. So until next time, namaste.